the Spectrum Art Academy, and in today's clip I'm going to explain what the formal elements of art are. The formal elements are often referred to as the building blocks of any work of art, whether it's a painting, 3D piece or photograph. There are 6 elements, and any work of art can contain one, a few or all elements. They are line, tone, shape and form, texture, colour and space. When a painter is starting a landscape, for example, they may have considered their colour scheme. A sculptor may have thought about form. A photographer, space, line or texture, depending on the subject matter. So let's explore the formal elements in more detail. When we speak about line, we speak about a path being left by a moving object, say for example, a pen, pencil or paintbrush. A line can take many forms, for example, a horizontal line, diagonal line or a curved line. A line can be used to contour emotions, expressions or movement. Line is used in a variety of ways in art. If you look at this mark making sheet, you can see a variety of lines. Hatching, crisscross, chevron to show texture. Marks or lines can also be used to show tone in a variety of ways as shown on this sheet here. Gestural lines are important when marking your initial areas in a sketch. In drawing, confidence with using certain media comes with time and practice and is incredibly useful for Inktober as seen in this line drawing. There are even continuous line drawings where you can challenge yourself to draw with pencil, a long piece of string or even light. Tone means the lightness or darkness of something. This could be a shade or how light or dark a colour appears. Here in front of us we have a flat image of a circle with a horizon line in the background. Now I'm going to show you what you can do when you add tone. A flat 2D image is transformed to a truly 3D image, but to achieve this level of skill takes practice. Watch the clip Pencil Shading for Beginners to find out how. You can also achieve a wider variety of tones by using different grades of pencil and applying more or less pressure. How many shades of grey can you see here? Don't forget there are also shades in colour. These are called tints. If you would like to experiment with mixing tints, like this, watch the clip How to Make a Colour Wheel in Watercolour, which shows you how to make tints. If you would like to instantly see a wide variety of tints, visit a paint store and collect swatch cards of one colour to see how many shades of one colour you can get. You'll be surprised. A shape is an area that is enclosed by a line. It could be just an outline or it could be shaded in. Form is a 3-dimensional shape such as a sphere, cube or cylinder. Sculpture and 3D design are about creating forms. In art there are 2 main types of shapes. The first group is geometric. They are mathematical lines, shapes, forms, often with hard edges. Circles and spheres are also included in this group. When you look at the forms and shapes in this diagram, there are clear differences. That is that the 2-dimensional shapes on the top row have height and width, and the forms on the bottom row have height, width and depth. The primary difference between a shape and a form is that a shape is flat and a form has volume. In art there are 2 main groups of shape. Geometric, including these shapes here, and organic. Geometric designs in Islamic art are often built on combinations of repeated squares and circles, which are overlapped and interlaced to create intricate patterns like the ones in this Islamic building. Our second group of shapes are organic shapes that are usually found in nature, have free-form lines, shapes, forms, and often have soft, curvy edges. This organic abstract design contains shapes inspired by nature. Do you recognise any shapes from nature in this design? This page shows design sketches for organic 3D forms, and this organic sculpture is inspired by nature. What do you think it was inspired by? Texture is the surface quality of something, the way something feels or looks like it feels. There are 2 types of texture, actual texture and visual texture. Actual texture really exists, so you can touch it and feel it. Visual texture is created using different marks to represent actual texture. In these next few slides, we have a selection of well-taken photographs to show you a selection of textures. How do you think these textures are? Are they rough? Are they smooth? Would you like to touch them? And then we have a selection of images of visual textures that have been created using pencil, graphite pencil, and with some of them they have used eraser to take the highlights out to create visual texture. It takes experience and skill to create a visual texture that looks like actual texture, but it is possible. There are 3 primary colours, red, yellow and blue. By mixing 2 primary colours together, you get a secondary colour, orange, purple and green. If you are going to create a piece of artwork, including photography, using colour, it helps to have an understanding of colour and the different colour groups. If you would like to look at this theme in more depth, watch Colour Theory for Beginners, as there is too much to cover in a small section like this. I will, however, briefly talk about colour groups. One of the groups are the colour temperature groups. As you can see, this colour wheel has been split in half into warm and cold. The colours on the top half reflect warm sensations and feelings, whereas the colours in the bottom half give the feeling of coldness and sombre emotions. If you look at this Van Gogh portrait, it's pretty much dominated by the colour blue, as are most of his portraits. If you would like to research this in more detail, this is known as the self-portrait that was painted in 1889 and was believed to have been one of Van Gogh's last portraits and is now in the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. Despite the rhythm of the brushstrokes with its close-packed coiling wavy lines and the aggressive nature of his facial expression, the most dominant feature of this portrait is the colour. If you look at the colour chart, this could match with an element of serenity, but also sadness and touches of melancholy or depression. And when you consider that Van Gogh was said to be in a psychotic state when painting this portrait, this does make sense, although different studies in colour psychology have differing opinions on colours and their corresponding emotions. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to explore colour theory further, don't forget to check out Colour Theory for Beginners for a more in-depth description of all the colour groups and how they relate to art. The last element that we're going to talk about is space. 3-dimensional work creates real space, whereas 2-dimensional artworks can create implied space. Objects take up positive space. Negative space is the empty space around them. As I just mentioned, when we are talking about space in art, we are talking about a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional artwork, not outer space. Your artwork could be exploring use of 1-point perspective to create the illusion of depth on a 2-dimensional surface. Similarly, 2-point perspective and the same for 3-point perspective. Next, we are going to talk about negative space in artwork. Having an understanding and practicing use of negative space helps to improve the accuracy of your artwork. The positive space is the object itself, and the negative space is the space around the object. If you would like to explore this theme further, please check out 2 books that are listed in the description below on the theme of elements of art. The first one is called An Illustrated Guide to Elements and Principles of Art and Design by Josh Field. This is a colour guide into the elements of art. The second one is specifically for educators, but would also be useful for homeschoolers, called Art is Fundamental by Eileen Price, and explores how to teach the formal elements. Click on the links in the description below for details. Don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see more in the Arts Basics series or future tutorials or projects. Also, if you have any ideas for future tutorials or projects, don't forget to leave your ideas in the comments below, as I would love to hear any suggestions. Don't forget, if you have a piece of artwork that you are proud of, we would love to see it. So send it to spectrumartacademy@outlook.com or send it to Instagram @SpectrumArtAcademy. You can also visit our website www.spectrumartacademy.com. See you next time, and keep producing great art.